Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you an awesome hack so you can get those Jimi Hendrix style rhythm fills into your playing easily and straight away. Now this is part number 2. If you haven't seen the other video, part number 1, I'll put the link in the description and I highly recommend checking that out first. Now the way we're going to learn this stuff is I'm going to show you the trick behind it and then you're going to be able to use this all over the fretboard for multiple chords, for multiple songs. It's not just we can only use this for one thing. You're going to be able to take this away and be able to play this in loads of different situations. Stay tuned and I'll show you how to do it. In this video then, it's part number 2, we're going to be playing some Jimi Hendrix style rhythm fills. If you haven't done it already, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that alert bell so you don't miss any updates. Right, let's just get stuck right into this then. Now, Jimi Hendrix is one of my favorite guitar players, arguably the most influential guitarist of all time, and I absolutely love his rhythm style. I think it's absolutely amazing, and he has literally inspired generations of musicians. So, if you haven't seen the previous video, the link's in the description. We talked about doing these Hendrix style fills based off an A-shaped chord. Now I know that's a C, but the shape is known as the A shape or the A root. Now that's cool, that's awesome to be able to do, but in this video we're going to do them based on that chord. Now that's a G, but that is known as our E shape or E root bar chord. Now we're going to play some really cool fills based on that. Now often when you watch Hendrix play, you'll see him play with his thumb over the top of the neck. Now he had really big hands, and often what he would do, he would fret the bass note, now that low G, with his thumb like this, and then he'd play the chord like this. So he's freeing up that little finger, which is exactly what we're going to do first, okay? So that allows us then to keep that little finger free to play some of these Hendrix-inspired fills from songs like Little Wing, Castles Made of Sand, Axis Bold of Love, etc, etc. So, first of all, let's take a G bar chord. Now that's known as our E shape or E root because the root is on our low E. And what we're going to do, we're just going to get rid of everything apart from the bottom 4 strings. So what I'm literally going to do, I'm going to take the bar and just move that and just have it barring across the E and the B. Okay, so that'll be the first thing. Get this bar and only fret the B and the E. So you end up like this. Okay, so we're not doing anything with that low E at all. Then we're going to remove this finger from the A string. Now that doesn't feel comfortable, so what we're actually going to do then, we're going to swap our third finger for our pinky. So we end up with that. Okay, now if you know triad chords, that is sort of like one of the triad shapes. Okay, so simply then we have a bar in the 3rd fret on the B and the E. Our middle finger is in the 4th on the G, and our 3rd finger is in the 5th fret on the D. Okay, and that's going to form the basis of the shape we're going to use for this lesson. Now, as you can see, my pinky's free, so I'm able to use that for the fills which we're going to look at. Now, going back to what I said about Hendrix, if you're able to, if you can, get that thumb over the top of the neck. Now this is, if you've got small hands, it might not be possible. It is pretty hard. You can use your thumb to fret that note there, the low G on the low E string. So you can play that chord and fret that with your thumb. So basically the A string is going to be muted. Chances are you don't have to worry about muting it because you're going to catch it with your thumb anyway. So that's how Hendrix would play. A lot of the time he would play this shape like that. So if you watch him play Little Wing, this is exactly what he does. But if you're finding that hard, don't worry too much about your thumb. You can just get rid of it and just play the chord simply like that. When there's a bass player, if you're playing in a band or with backing tracks, they're going to be taking care of this low information anyway. So don't stress yourself if you can't do that, if your hands are too small, or you find it awkward or you're getting any pain. Just don't worry about the thumb. If you can do it, it's great. But if not, the top is fine as well. So from there then, what we're going to do, we're going to use our little finger in the 5th fret on all of the strings. So we're going to play on the E in the 5th fret, the B in the 5th fret, and the G in the 5th fret. So you can get this sort of sound. Okay, let me Hendrix it up a bit. Okay, so what I did there then, yes, I played with a bit more feel and a bit more groove, and I played kind of licks. They're more kind of just like little hammer-ons and fills. I don't think of them as licks as such. It's more of just an idea we can play around with. And that was simply... So I'm hammering on my little finger on the 5th fret on the high E. I'm hammering on the B string, same thing, and the G. Okay, as much as that's just the idea behind it, you know, just experiment with it, play your own licks, play your own rhythms. Let's actually look at a few licks as well. So the first one we're going to look at, lick number 1, sounds like this. Okay, that one can be heard in Little Wing. That's exactly kind of the thing Hendrix does there. Okay, it's just that chord. I'm strumming the bottom 4 strings, hammering on to the E string and pulling off. So let me play that with a bit of groove. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, really nice little fill. Okay, so that's lick number 1. Lick number 2 is going to be exactly the same. We're just going to do the fill on the B string. A bit of groove. Okay, I'm playing the bass note because I'm just playing this on my own. If I was in a band, I wouldn't bother to really worry about it. So lick number 3 then sounds like this. Now that is straight out of Little Wing. Okay, so we're going to be using our pinky on the G string. I'm going to strum the chord, hammer on, play it again, take our finger off. Put it on again, and take it off. End it with a pluck on the D string, which is our root note of the G. Now that first hammer on onto the 5th fret is a quick one, just kind of like a little trill or a little grace note. If you're finding that hard, you don't have to do it. You could play it like this. 5, 4, 5, 4, 5 on the D. But it's quite nice if you can get that sort of little flick into it. Let me play that with a bit of groove. Okay, and that's lick number 3. Now there are loads of kind of licks and ideas you could make out of this concept, but just remember, it's just playing. So that's our bar. We take the bottom 4 strings and we're hammering on the 5th, same fret as whatever this finger is. And on the 5th on the E, 5th on the B, 5th on the G. But just remember, whatever this finger is, that is where your pinky's going to be. Okay, if I wanted to change key, if I wanted to do this in A, I would simply move everything up. So there's my A chord, root on the E string. I'm going to take the D, the G, the B, and the E, and I'm going to play fills wherever this finger is, on the E, the B, and the G. If I wanted to do this in F, I find an F chord, and I do exactly the same thing. Okay, so what I'm going to do now then, I'm going to put on Hey Joe backing track, and I'm just going to play along. I'm going to stick some of this stuff in, just so you can sort of hear how it sounds with some drums and bass behind it. in context with a bit of bass and drums and some backing track. Now, as you can hear, they sound really cool and they really embellish the chord sequence. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take this one step further. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take the elements from the other video, which you'll find with a link in the description, where we looked at this sort of stuff based off our A shape or A root. So that's obviously a C, but that's what the shape is called. That kind of idea, and I'm going to add them in with the stuff we've done in this video. Play along with the backing track, and hopefully it's going to sound super Hendrixy. Okay, so that was all the stuff from the other video and this video put together. If anything, I probably overplayed there just because I was trying to show you how it all fits in. You know, you can choose your moments with this stuff. You don't have to literally play on every chord. I did then because I just want to show you how you can really kind of encapsulate that Hendrix rhythm sound. So there's one caveat with all of this stuff, okay? So as much as, yes, we can use this chord, this idea, on major bar chords, our E shape, that's kind of what we've been using. The one kind of thing is if you're playing this in songs, so say you played it in a song which had the chords G, E minor, C, and D. If you're familiar with the Nashville numbering system where you take all of the chords within a key signature, you can only use this on the 1 and the 5 chord. You can only use the full amount of strings. So what I mean by that is on the G, you can do all 3 strings with your little finger. On the 5 chord, which would be the D, you can use all 3 strings. However, on the 4 chord, which is the C major, you can only use the E and the B. You cannot play the G string. I mean, you can if you want. Some songs it will work, but if you're in a kind of quite a straight popular music song where everything is within the key signature, by using that little finger there on the 4 chord, which is the C major in the key of G, it might sound a little bit jazzy because that note actually isn't in the key signature of G major. I'll show you what I mean. So if I'm playing the chord sequence G, C, E minor, and D, and I wanted to add some of these Hendrix kind of fills to it, on the G chord it'd be fine to do all of them. When I get to the C, I would only do the B and the A strings, E minor, and on the D chord I could do all of them. So that's just a little caveat. Now if you're finding that theory a little bit too complicated, don't worry too much about it, just have fun with this stuff. But if you get what I'm saying there with that numbering system, we can only use all 3 of the strings with our little finger, the fills, on the 1 and the 5 chord. When it comes to our 4 chord, that's only just going to be the E and the B strings. But like I said, if that's kind of something you're not sure about, just don't worry and just have a load of fun with it. So I hope you liked that lesson. If you haven't done it already, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click that alert bell. There's a PDF in the description if you want a bit more information. There's chord charts in there. There's the licks that I played written out. So make sure you grab that because there's tons of information in it. If you want to stay in touch and say hello to myself, I have an online guitar school called Fretlix.com. I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and I'll catch up with you again soon.